With terrific stories being shared, written about and linked to every minute, it's easy to get stuck and wonder how on earth you can compete, especially if you work in a boring industry. But boring, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. Any industry, no matter how boring on the surface, has interesting stories just waiting to be exploited by a creative link builder. The first step to uncovering these stories is to kick yourself out of the mindset that the industry you're struggling with is inherently boring. Here's a few exercises that I think will help. 1. Look for human interest stories. Your industry may be boring, but the people in it aren't. People are inherently interesting, so as long as you uncover their stories, you'll have lots of material. Like in this post about Bob's Red Mill, the owner, Bob Moore, becomes the story. And every business has customers with problems to solve. Every business owner has struggles to overcome. Every employee has problems to solve in their daily work. Spend some time digging for these stories and you'll have a lot of link-worthy material. 2. Do a Google News search. See what news stories come up. If you're working in a boring industry, you'll probably see a lot of poor news stories that aren't really news at all. But persevere and read through a few. In the air filter industry, I came across a boring industry with the CEO of an air filter company. But buried in the very last paragraph, I found a startling research statistic. The air inside your car is 7 times more polluted than the air outside. Wow, what a statistic. Most of us have no idea that's the case, yet it is relevant to us all because we all travel in cars. What link builder worth their salt couldn't make a great piece of link-worthy content around that statistic? So it's worth putting in the time to discover hidden gems like that. 3. Look for disruptive companies in your industry and learn from them. A disruptive company is one that turns an established business model on its head. Disruptive companies don't get much support from their own industry because of the threat they pose. So they have to be creative in reaching out to other niches. So do a link analysis of such sites and you'll find those niches. And hey, many of them will be relevant to you as well. SurveyMonkey is a disruptive influence on the market research industry because they encourage businesses to conduct their own research rather than use market research companies. A link analysis will find opportunities in the events world, in business, sports clubs, usability, and many more. This could be a rich source of link prospects if you're in a similar type of business. Airbnb is a disruptive influence on the travel industry because they provide a source of accommodation outside the usual travel market. Now, if your client can't provide examples, well, do your own research. The MIT Technology Review has published an excellent resource, 50 Disruptive Companies of 2013, and they had the same for other years as well. For example, the heating, ventilation and air conditioning industry has not been particularly interesting over the last 70 years or so, until 2 guys who had created the iPod and iPad for Apple launched a revolutionary central heating thermostat. According to MIT, the sector is as unexciting as the thermostats it sells, and the industry was astonished by the level of innovation in the new product. The new product has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, CNET, Slate, and a host of others. And 4, piggyback on breaking news stories, or newsjacking, as David Merman Scott calls it in his book of the same name. Newsjacking is about using breaking news stories to further your own ends. In his book, he tells the tale of how Wynn Resorts newsjacked a story on the arrest of Paris Hilton by barring her from their properties. Wynn Resorts was then mentioned in nearly every story about the arrest. As Scott says, literally anyone can newsjack. If you are clever enough to add a new dimension to a story in real time, the news media will write about you. Recently, the UK media was buzzing with the story of how Oprah Winfrey was refused an expensive handbag from a store in Switzerland. According to Lyndon Antcliffe, who runs a newsjacking alert service at cornwallseo.com, this was a perfect story to be hijacked by a handbag retailer or manufacturer. All you would have to do is write a blog post curating, say, 10 famous handbag stories, like this one from the BBC. So boring is in the eye of the beholder. Any industry, no matter how boring on the surface, can find and exploit opportunities for tremendous coverage and editorial links. Until next time.